Sometimes the best stories in golf aren't found on tour. You'll find them at the back of the range. And here's your host, Ben Adelberg.
And welcome to the Back of the Range. I am your host, Ben Adelberg. This is episode 153. What an incredible experience being on site at the U.S. Amateur. As many of you know, I was there as a content contributor for the USGA, working with their amazing team, both on-site and off-site, to add some narrative to the championship. Tons of great memories and stories that I'm sure I will be sharing for quite some time, but not quite yet. Truthfully, I'm still unpacking, catching up on sleep, going through videos and photos, and just trying to get back into the swing of things here in South Florida. But if you want to see some of the photos and videos that I posted, please go check out the Instagram and Facebook pages. That's where I posted everything. The handle for Instagram is the Back of the Range Podcast. And this episode, like all the previous ones, is available on the website, thebackoftherange.com. I'm getting to this episode quickly because, truthfully, it should have been posted last week during the U.S. Amateur. Definitely a bogey on my part, but me and the boys in the wedge room at Bandon Dunes were pulling 12 to 15-hour days. I just didn't have time to get the episode posted last week. But my guest on this episode is the 2000 U.S. Amateur champion, Jeff Quinney. Not only is he celebrating the 20th anniversary of his victory, but he is also a Eugene, Oregon native, and he qualified at Bandon Dunes. So we spoke about Bandon, spoke about the win at baltisrall, and one very interesting fact about the Havemeyer Trophy. Again, this episode was recorded before the U.S. Amateur, so you'll hear us talking a lot about what these players might expect, and it's actually interesting to go back and listen to it because some of his predictions were spot on. The weather changed dramatically from one day to the next, wind, sun, and then, of course, during the final, the fog rolled in. Lots to talk about as far as this year's U.S. Amateur goes. That will happen in a future episode. But for now, let's welcome in the winner of the 100th U.S. Amateur, Jeff Quinney. Jeff, welcome to the Back of the Range. How are you?
Oh, great. Thanks for having me on the show. Yeah, it's pretty amazing. 20 years ago, time has flown by.
Well, we're right around the same age. I think I'm a couple years older than you. And yeah, you basically took the words right out of my mouth. You're looking back on this. It's U.S. Amateur Week. It's being contested at Bandon Dunes. That's actually where you did your qualifier for the 2000 U.S. Amateur. So just to hit it off right off the bat, looking back 20 years, does that even seem real that it's 20 years ago?
No, time has flown by. I look back at those old videos and highlights or whatever and see how skinny and young I was and to see the guys where, I played against and where their careers have gone. And it's pretty awesome times. Being part of that U.S. Amateur Club it's pretty special that, it's on your resume the rest of your year. It's kind of a special club they can never take away from you.
Yeah, I was looking back. It was funny when we were talking before we recorded. I mentioned I found this like 8 or 9 minute clip of really, I guess maybe the last 4 or 5 holes of that final match against Driscoll, and you were like, "Hey, send that to me. I want to take a look at that." I mean, was this the first time that you really looked back and watched it? Or I mean, I'm sure you've seen highlights right after the fact, but how long ago was it that you really looked back at the last few holes of that?
Yeah, I know my mom and we have some old VHS tapes, and I've seen some of them, and I really needed a better job of maybe converting those to DVDs or something. But yeah, that Ian Baker Finch did a little highlight film, and that was really cool. And I sent to after you forwarded that to me, I forwarded to a lot of friends and posted on a few things, and people they remember where they were when they watched that Monday morning finish. And, it's pretty awesome finish. And I tried to throw it away, but luckily came up on top, and pretty special moment.
Yeah. Well, we'll talk a little bit about the U.S. Amateur run from beginning to end. It was held at Baltisrall, one of the most, historic courses. I mean, gosh, Tillinghast designed back in 1918. I mean, this is really one of the gems, so to speak, when you think of USGA locations. But before we get to New Jersey, let's start a little bit where things kicked off for you. I mean, tremendous success at the junior level in Oregon. I know you played your collegiate golf at Arizona State, but junior golf. And first of all, let's get this right out of the way. Are you the best athlete in your family?
Probably not. Um, I'm the youngest of four boys, and we all played Division I sports. We kind of all had a little niche. Had a tennis player, football player, basketball player. My dad played college hoops at BYU, so we kind of just sports were our thing in our family. So.
And basketball was kind of your thing. I know that obviously you had the great junior career. You won, high school champion in 97 and Rolex All-American in 96, but basketball was kind of your thing. It wasn't like you were this junior golf prodigy where you were just tunnel vision on making it to the PGA Tour ever since you were 12, right?
That's completely true. Growing up in Oregon, our season was pretty short. I didn't touch a golf club probably till March after our basketball season was over. Played varsity basketball 3 years. So during the winter, we were 100% basketball, and maybe hit a bucket of balls Christmas Day. I pretty much took 6 months off in the winter, which in a way kind of made me not burn out. I thought I saw a lot of people like in Southern California, Arizona. You're playing 12 months a year. It's great. You might get better, but you really don't have an outlet to get away.
Yeah. I know your collegiate career progressed, from freshman year. I mean, basically great seasons every year at Arizona State. And you get to this magical year in 2000 where I know you'd qualify or attempted to qualify several times for the U.S. Amateur, but the one you win in 2000 is the first one you get into. And I mean, it just kind of works out perfectly for the timing of our conversation. It's U.S. Amateur Week, but not only do you win it, but you qualify at Bandon Dunes, which is where it's being held this year. So this is a relatively new golf course. I think it opened in 99. So this is 2000. It's brand new. It's something completely different probably than what a lot of the collegiate players are used to seeing. You being in the desert, I'm sure it was something a little bit different, even though you did grow up in Oregon. So going into Bandon and seeing it and going through practice rounds, what was your initial reaction to this place?
Pretty awesome. I played in a match play tournament, the Pacific Northwest match play tournament previous that summer. Was able to win that, so I was really familiar with the course. Played 6 or 7 matches, a couple of qualifying rounds, and like you said, this was my first time being able to qualify for the USAM. I had lost in playoffs in previous years. You qualify since you're probably 16 years old, and could never get to the actual event, let alone try to win it. So that summer was just really a crazy summer of just playing great golf. I won the Oregon Am, which is a match play event.
Yeah.
Won the PNGA, which was a match play event. So I was kind of just in that match play mode all summer long. I go to Bandon Dunes or go to baltisrall. We play the lower course to start. I think I'm 5 over after the first 9 holes, and basically thinking, all right, we're packing bags. We're out of here. I think I shoot maybe even on the back, 75. First round on the lower, which is where they play the championship, U.S. Open, and PGAs, and then second round was on the upper where we actually played the matches. I shot 69 to qualify, I think, middle of the pack, and all the matches were played on the upper, which probably was really more advantage to me. It was just a little bit shorter. The greens were so fast, and you had to be below the hole. And if the matches were probably played on the lower, I definitely would have probably not have won it, in my opinion.
Yeah, well, before we get into a couple of those matches, I wanted to get back a little bit to Bandon. When did you get paired up with Tyler Pendergast?
Yeah, so he caddied for me during that PNGA that I was mentioned before.
Yeah, and
so we had success, and he knew my game. He really knew those Bandon greens. If you're caddying a Bandon every day, it's a type of course where if it's windy, if it's foggy, there's so many different conditions, and he had the experience, so we decided to get him on the bag. And once we had success, I said, why not have him qualify for the local league? And then once we did qualify, he was able to come back to New Jersey with me, and Mike Kaiser, owner of Bandon, was kind enough to send him back there. and help me out.
Yeah, the since 2006, Bandon Dunes has been hosting USGA championships, whether it's the Curtis Cup or the the public links before it obviously was taken off the calendar. But I've spoken to a couple of caddies at Bandon Dunes, and no USGA champion has ever been crowned at Bandon Dunes without having a local caddy on the bag. So interesting little bit of trivia there. I'm, you're right now you're the best collegiate players and amateurs and mid-ams and seniors in the world are at Bandon right now. It can't be overstated the importance of having a local caddy on the bag, can it?
I would definitely recommend it. I mean, you have so many different conditions, wind directions. For one day it might be downwind, one it might be into the wind. You have fog delays, you have rain. I think it's just even like a Pebble Beach or the greens. There's so many different pin locations. There's no way you could do enough prep probably in the practice rounds to know every situation. But obviously, if you have your friend or buddy or dad that might know your game, that might help you mentally. So there's probably a little 50-50 trade-off there versus local knowledge versus somebody that, can really handle the heat. They might know the course, but, when you get into top amateur golf and, it's a long mental battle and being able to coach you and help you that way. So, but I would definitely use a local caddy if I had the choice.
Yeah, the players are there already on site. I'm sure they've kind of already made their decisions on how they're going to go as far as what their caddy selection is going to be. But as far as viewers, people watching it on TV or matches that are streaming, what are maybe some things you can think of that some of these viewers are going to see that maybe they're not used to seeing when they're, is this going to be kind of like what it is to watch an Open Championship, either in Scotland or Ireland or in the UK? Is that basically how they should go into it? What you're going to be seeing?
Yeah, I think over, 2 days of qualifying, I think 5 days of match play, you're going to probably see every weather pattern come into play. It's going to be pretty awesome. I'm excited to watch it.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting how much television coverage they really have. And, but yeah, it's basically, you're in the United States, you're in Oregon, but you don't feel like you're there. It's a pretty special place.
Yeah. Well, you win the qualifier. I think you won it by, 5 or 6. I think you shot 69, 65, something along those lines to get into this U.S. Amateur. And like you said, you grab Tyler and you head out to Jersey. You go from the fescue-laden links of Bandon to, bent grass and rye at baltisrall. I'm guessing this is, you're playing your college golf in the desert in Arizona and all the Pac-10, Pac-12, whatever it was at that point. I guess it was Pac-10, but you're playing all your golf out there. What is, I think you alluded to it earlier, but your initial reaction of baltisrall, what did you see there other than hallways that looked like fairways?
Yeah, that place is just a championship venue, man. It's a huge course, great clubhouse, hot, humid week. Growing up in the Northwest, I was familiar with the grasses. I think, Polana greens, the bent fairways and bent rye rough. So the grasses were actually okay. But it was hot and humid all week, and just a true fitness test of mental and physical test.
Yeah, and I'm looking at the video. This is 20 years before the moisture wicking materials that everyone gets to wear on hot, humid days on the golf course. And I'm just seeing a lot of heavy, full cotton shirts being worn out there.
Yeah, I was skinny back then. I'm probably wearing an extra large shirt where you're
drowning in it.
The sleeves are down to your elbows and you're just tugging on them. They're getting in your way and you're toweling your face down. And I didn't wear a hat back then for whatever reason. And
well, it's for the TV. It's for the marketing. That's what it is.
It was pretty dang hot. You just so mentally drained. But at 21, you were just kept going. You were just such on an adrenaline rush that nothing could really stop you.
Like you said earlier, you were like 6 over through the first 7. You really make a great comeback to post a 75 in the first round, and you shoot 69 the next day, and you make the cut probably right around the middle of the pack. I think the cut was 146, 147, something like that. So you make it by a couple, and you're in, which is really all you need to do. You just got to get in. A lot of these players are going to be dealing with the same stuff, especially playing Bandon Dunes and then playing Bandon Trails. I know Trails from what I've heard, can be really tricky with swirling winds right around the middle of the round when you go back into the forest. And there's going to be times, I guarantee there's going to be guys that have shot, tough rounds on one course and they really need to make it up the second day. Do you remember kind of what your approach was going into that second stroke play round?
I think I was just nervous the first day, first U.S. Amateur.
Yeah.
Going through registration, you just see all the top players, all your buddies in collegiate. It's just the way the USGA runs the tournament. It just feels like a special place.
Yeah.
And maybe I just kind of, the lower course is so tough, and I just probably just kept on hitting in the rough, and chipping out. The course was so demanding that I just kept making bogeys. You get on that upper course, there was just maybe a little bit more scoreable. I think I just got out of my own way, and I had to go for it. It wasn't like I was shooting par and trying to protect.
Yeah,
I had to go make birdies to make the cut. So
you had these great. I mean, gosh, every single round. We're not going to go through every single one, obviously, but I mean, you catch I guess, so to speak, you catch a little bit of a breather in the first round with that you win your match 6 and 5, but then it's really just a murderer's row of you get past Lucas Glover, who goes on to win a U.S. Open. You get past Ben Curtis after, the third round, Ben Curtis, Open champion, quarterfinals, Hunter Mahan, President's Cup, hero, Ryder Cup hero. And those two rounds, really, you have these amazing comebacks, 4 down and 3 down. Up until that point, have you really had experience in match play being that far down? And maybe for people listening that play match play in their, maybe in their member, club championship, or even, people listening that are going to play in the U.S. Amateur someday. And can you pinpoint something that you focused on just to kind of keep you going through those two rounds?
I'm trying to look back on memories. Nothing really jumps up as far as previous match play, but I think that's just part of my mental makeup. I was just never give up. It was just a fighter, and it was that type of course where par could win you a lot of holes. And I think maybe they got a little defensive. They're trying to just steer it in. That's kind of what I did at the last match too. Is
right.
It's so hard that if you make a par, a lot of times you're going to win the hole. It was playing that difficult that week, and it was just a little bit of luck on my side where they'd maybe miss a short putt or lip out, or they had plenty of times to eliminate me. I remember Ben Curtis had like a 4-footer straight up the hill to beat me on like the 22nd hole and leaves it short.
Oh my gosh.
Little things like that. You have to have so many breaks go your way in a match play because there's just so many different variables of playing good, or run into a buzzsaw one day, or I think you just play shot by shot, hole by hole. You can't look ahead. And I think it just helps me really stay in the present. Maybe when I get in stroke play events, you kind of get a hold of yourself and ahead of yourself and look beyond just the shot or that hole, and you can play your opponent. And it's kind of like a tennis match. They can make a mistake, and you just play safe and let them, give you the hole.
Yeah. You get you get to the finals against James Driscoll. He had graduated from Virginia I think you were 2 up after the first 18 hole, after the first round or first 18 hole session, so to speak, and then you're off to the second one. And as anyone that knows the history of this match, I think you've said it, you had him. You were really there where I think you were up 2 or 3 and then lost the last 3 holes to have it go into sudden death. And he makes this great par on 18. He makes this great up and down for birdie on 17 out of a fairway bunker from 50, 60 yards. And you go to the first playoff hole, and it's getting dark, and it's getting dangerous with weather coming in. And I know people will always remember that 30, 35 footer you make to win it on the first playoff hole, or the third playoff hole, which is actually the following morning. But the one thing I got to ask you about is, when I think of bunker shots being held to win a major championship, I'm old enough to remember Bob Tway in the '86 PGA where he's just jumping up and down.
But, yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, but that was almost you, because you almost hole out for birdie on the first playoff hole out of the bunker, and the reaction in that video piece that I sent you, which I'll post online, the reaction of you is, I'm guessing it's just like it looks like you're like, you've got to be kidding me. How did that not go in?
Yeah, I think you're just like the momentum was such on his side. The crowd, he had probably 50, 60 family members. I got about 5 members that have made the trip. A couple of my brother and his wife and my coach had flown on a red-eye flight that night, and my brother showed up in his golf shoes because he was playing golf on a course Saturday, and gets on a flight without any luggage, and he's on a red-eye from Oregon to New Jersey. And yeah, basically that first hole and that bunker shot, I watched that highlight as well. I think it was maybe coming a little bit hot, little, but it had a chance to hit the pin and go in. And I think you were just ready for something. I want this to be over and done with.
Right.
And how the way the momentum was going, that basically that weather day was huge for me.
Sure.
I think it definitely helped me regroup, and you're just so tired and just digging down deep for what you had in the tank. And what a battle. And James is a good buddy of mine still, and I think he's still trying to play, but all those guys are good friends, and it's pretty fun to look back. But yeah, that was a hard evening to sleep on, and giving those 3 holes away when you think you can close out the match, and he pulls off some unbelievable, like you said, those bunker shots and up and downs, the force, just that crazy match play. That's kind of what I did to Ben Curtis and Hunter Mahan. They thought they had me closed out, and I was trying to come back just like he did.
You guys have the first playoff hole, the 37th hole, and then you come to 38. And who initiated the conversation when you guys are both on the green with identical short putts, and you guys go good?
I mean, they were outside the good range. I mean, They were a good 3 feet. I honestly think I had the tougher putt. I want to say mine was a little, a slightly downhill, left to righter. That under those circumstances, you could easily miss that.
Sure.
And I think the both of us kind of looked at each other like, none of us want to win on this little teaser. We kind of just looked at each other. I don't know I can't remember who initiated it, but I think we were both didn't want to hit that putt, and we were fine just going on to the next hole. And I think that was pretty awesome.
Yeah, I think that says a lot for the nature of. I mean, look, you guys are in your early 20s. You're playing for a national championship. You know exactly what this means moving forward, but it's just the nature of sportsmanship, the nature of the game, where both can say, "Look, this is a really big deal. Let's not have this be. Let's not have someone win it because of this, and also." That doesn't ever go away. You miss a 3-footer, that never goes away.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I don't think we were smart enough at the time to think of that, but yeah, can you imagine? To this day, we still have a nightmare as one of us.
Yeah.
So.
And also, it goes with how you won. Like, I remember when you won the USAM when that guy choked on that 2-footer. Yeah,
he'd make 99 out of 100 times, but just under the pressure and circumstances and fatigue, he missed it.
Yeah. So you go on, they call it due to weather, due to darkness, and you have to sleep on this basically one hole, or at least that's all you have in front of you, unless someone ties you, this one hole sudden death. I know it's well chronicled that, gosh, you probably didn't sleep very well, and no one knows what the hell to say to you because of what just happened. I can imagine it's the completely different outlook on the other side. I'm guessing, Team Driscoll is just can't wait, but you get to baltisrall the next morning and you're preparing for this playoff. How do you prepare? And are you just basically hitting, because you're playing a par 3, you're just hitting 5 irons, or how did you prepare for this playoff?
Yeah, I was actually talking to my brother Mark about this the other day, and he was back there and made that red-eye trip I was talking about, and he remembers Driscoll actually playing holes 1 and 2. I guess it's legal. You can go out and actually play a hole, which I didn't know was really legal. And obviously, Driscoll had probably checked with the rules officials. And I just kind of went through my standard warm up. But yes, I was hitting that 200-yard shot multiple times. But who knows how many holes you go? So you're going through the bag. I remember he hit a 5-iron. He's a longer hitter than me. He smashed a 5-iron long right. And I still 200. That's a 4-iron for me at the time. So I kind of hit a smooth 4, safety first, thinking, par is going to win that hole, because I knew he was dead where he hit it long. And he didn't actually hit a good chip, and it still just rolled out past the pin onto the fringe 15, 20 feet away. And I'm just trying to lag that 35-footer. if it doesn't hit the hole, that's probably 5-6 feet past the hole, and luckily, goes in the cup and it's over.
Yeah.
So.
No, it was. I mean, that putt looked like you said. I mean, it was completely on line and perfect, but I saw that it was moving just a little bit. So you win the trophy. You're the 100th U.S. Amateur champion, and I guess you're expecting, or at least people would expect, that your next order of business is hop a flight back to Eugene, Oregon, and celebrate with family and friends. And maybe there's a party at your club, or maybe you're going back to Arizona State and there's a party with the golf team. But you got work to do, because now you're on the World Amateur team and you got to fly to Germany. And two of the guys on the team you actually beat on your way to winning, Curtis and David Eager. When did the USGA tell you were on the team? And did they just basically just like, all right, kid, grab the trophy and get on this plane. We're sending you here. I mean, how was that? What was that timeline like?
Yeah, I don't know if they told us the winner, either one of us was going to go. I remember they were talking about even Sunday afternoon saying, we're going to helicopter you to Newark, and then you're going to get on a flight, and they want you there because it's a time change. And I mean, it was crazy. I remember exactly. We finished Monday morning and maybe have time to get some breakfast and afterwards and just have a little bit of celebration with my family. But hop on a Lufthansa plane to Germany, and I got no clothes, all dirty all the week, for the week basically. Right. So luckily I land there. They have like a seamstress or whatever. They have gear. She's measuring me for pants, having my pants and getting all the gear. I'm on a just mental high, I guess, is the only way I get through that week. But right. Bryce Mulder was on the team as well, and Bryce ended up winning that individually, and we win it as a team. We beat Paul Casey, Luke Donald were on the other team, on the English team. I had already missed 1 week of school, and that was another week of school. So my senior year, I missed the first 2 weeks of class, and I'm way behind on a finance major degree, and teachers were threatening to, fail me already. But pretty awesome to win a national title and then going over to win the team title over in Germany, and that's pretty awesome.
When did you finally get to come home and relax and have what was your proper U.S. Amateur celebration?
I guess they might have sent the trophy to my coach or something like that. USGA.
They didn't let you take it to Germany, did they?
No, I mean, even my teammates had created a banner and coach, and they still kind of had to wait another week. They didn't realize I was going to Germany, so they even delayed their celebration. But yeah, I mean, I don't remember how a huge party down there, but yeah, they had a banner in my apartment, and you go into classrooms or whatever, and some professors that knew what golf was, they kind of would have me stand up and give me applause, and some people didn't know what the heck was going on. But
that's awesome. I could just imagine that. You're like, hello, I'm Jeff. I play golf.
Yeah, exactly. And then you had to get right back in the swing of things, and the college. Yeah, it was a whirlwind little time. Just so, I guess, on the high of energy is the only way you really get through it.
I mean, this is obviously the World Amateur, the Eisenhower Trophy is just the first of many things that came your way. I mean, you're playing in the 2001 U.S. Open with Tiger of all people, and you get to play, obviously the Masters and all these different experiences. And I guess one of the questions I want to ask is that, when you look at U.S. amateurs through, the last 20 years, there's the trajectory of their careers have gone in several different directions, whether it's Tiger, whether it's, Victor Hovland and everyone in between, you and Ben On. And just there's so many players that have won this U.S. Amateur and where it's taken them. Looking back, obviously you don't want to take anything away from it, but did it put maybe a different kind of level of pressure on your professional career?
I think so. It helped and put some pressure.
Right.
I didn't play well in the majors, so I think that definitely hurt my endorsement capabilities or potential or stock value, I guess what you call it. But I did get, sponsor invites. I got like 7 invites and didn't play great, but it provided opportunities to get in some tournaments. You got a contract deal with Callaway, gives you a little bit of money to travel and I guess, I just wasn't really ready for the tour at 22, 23, like these guys now are. I needed that 1 year on the Canadian tour, 4 years on the Corn Ferry tour and whatever the sponsor was at the time. And my game wasn't ready for the tour. I was still pretty raw. And just because you win a couple match play events, always some big ones, but I wasn't ready for the tour mentally or physically, I guess. Yeah.
I definitely don't want to skip over, Walker Cup, because this amateur victory really puts you in line to making that team. I mean, unfortunately, it's that one of the few times that GB&I comes over to the States and wins, and it was a 15-9 margins. The thing is, the first time they actually retained the cup with 2 consecutive wins. This is just it's a great team and a great experience, and I've had the fortune of speaking with several Walker Cuppers in the past. And you had, your entire senior year at Arizona State to kind of come down from the, craziness, so to speak, of these of all these accomplishments. What do you remember about Walker Cup?
Yeah, I think a pretty poor season my senior year. Maybe kind of like you talked about. Maybe my expectations were too high,
right?
Or a little bit of pressure. I made the team, and I wasn't playing very well. I got paired with Driscoll in the first round in an alternate shot, and we both weren't playing good. I was up on Luke Donald 3 holes after 3 up at 3 after 3 holes, and I lose on 16. And I think it was Danny Yates was our captain, basically kind of saw that my confidence was down, and he benched me for like the next 2 matches. So I only got to play 2 matches, and I was pretty hurt and pretty upset. But I could just see where I wasn't playing good, and I didn't know where the ball was going. And down there in Sea Island, where there's marsh left and right, and I was just having trouble finding the fairways. But pretty special. It's pretty awesome experience. I still have pictures of President Bush at our team parties, and it was pretty special team to belong to, even though we lost. To have those old pictures, President Bush was at our party. All those teammates have gone on to bigger and better things, winning majors. I think that's definitely the one you want to have on your belt as an amateur golfer, to be a part of that team.
Yeah. No, I've spoken to a lot of players, a lot of guys, and they've said that, that's just one of the biggest highlights of their golfing career. I'll get you out of here on this one. We're going to be watching. Obviously, you're going to be watching a lot of what's going on this week. Many of the players we're going to see this week are, they'll venture into the professional ranks. A select few of them will definitely make it onto the PGA Tour quickly, and most will toil on developmental tours for a little while, and then some actually won't make it, or maybe they won't turn pro.
Yeah.
You're 20 years older and wiser. What does a 40-something Jeff Quinney say to a 21-year-old Jeff Quinney, knowing what you know now?
I think just absorb the whole thing. Obviously there's a couple hundred guys there. There's only a few that are qualified, a few that go on to professional golf. It's a hard occupation, but I think just absorb it, enjoy it. If you have the opportunity to be in contention, really enjoy it. I guess you're 21 years old. You don't really realize how special it is, how hard it is to get there. If you're down, I guess, don't ever give up.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you're 2 down after 2 holes and you're in the bag, just never give up, because that guy, it's hard to close it out. It's hard to close the match out. Just enjoy the experience. And if you have the fortunate of winning the title, it's just a special club to belong to, and a lot of things that come along with it.
There's another guy that you're kind of familiar with out in Arizona that has his name on the same trophy that you do. I've had him on as a guest of the podcast, and can you give me any sort of a Colt Nose story that I can hold over his head for at least some time? He also has a nice podcast called Subpar over there with on golf.com's platform. You gotta give me a good Colt Nose story. There's a great picture of you two with the Havermeyer Trophy, and it looks like some sort of a drinking establishment. I know you're probably just having chicken fingers and iced teas, but there's got to be a Colt Nose story you can share.
God, there's got to be tons of them. I'm trying to narrow one down, but yeah, we hang out quite a bit in Scottsdale, socially and on the golf course, and. My mom was kind enough to buy that replica trophy for my 40th birthday.
Oh, wow.
So you don't, not everybody, gets to keep a replica or that the original trophy is just a 1-year traveling trophy, so you have to give it back.
Sure.
And so we contacted, I know ASU had bought one just because of Phil Mickelson and Billy Mayfair and myself. So they wanted one for their kind of museum, and we were able to contact the USGA. And, I think that the trophy's made in Europe and it's not cheap. And so that was pretty cool as a present from my mom for my 40th birthday.
That's incredible.
We were having brunch at a local bistro in Scottsdale, and my buddy Ryan Heyer from Eugene was in town, and I don't know why I had the trophy in the car, but he's like, go grab the trophy. And so pretty fun that me and Cole were sitting there watching. I think we were watching the USAM on the big screen at the breakfast joint. So all these people are like, what the heck are these people doing? Why? What did they just win? Is a softball tournament or something? But so,
couple of beer league softball guys.
Yeah, a bunch of fat old retired golfers. So,
oh my gosh, that's so you win it. So you win the trophy, and then basically a little less than 20 years later is the first time you actually have a version of it for yourself.
Exactly. Yeah, like it's not cheap. I think it's like $12,000 or something.
Oh my gosh!
Replica. So, my mom was kind enough to get. That was my 40th present, and I don't know how many golfers or how many players actually have it. So
that's very interesting, because that's something that most people probably would not think of. They think that they win it and they give it back, and then they have a version of it at home, and that's it.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know. Tiger has all those ones on his mantle. I don't know. Maybe the professionals get ones that are paid for him, and you're amateur. Maybe you can't get a trophy or something.
Yeah. Well, tell your mom that I actually won the third flight of the Palm Beach County Mid-Amateur Championship, and I can maybe make a call and see what that's going to take to get replicated. But actually, no, it's probably let's not bother with that. Well, Jeff, I mean, this is a special week for everyone out there at Bandon Dunes competing in the U.S. Amateur. Special week for you, looking back 20 years ago. I know you'll be watching it. A lot of us will be watching it, and U.S. Amateur Championship, something that is yours forever. So I appreciate you stopping by the back of the range, and hopefully we do it again soon. And all the best.
Well, thank you. Yeah, that was a pretty special experience, and best places in the world, and look forward to watching them.
And there you have it. Special thanks to Jeff Quinney for joining me on this episode here at the Back of the Range Golf Podcast. Don't forget, follow along on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. I'll have some more episodes coming up soon, all about the U.S. Amateur Bandon Dunes. So we'll see you next time here at the Back of the Range.